Okay, my name's Caitlin, and I am homeless with my cat. I was looking on YouTube and I realized that there's not really many videos in regards to tips and tricks for the homeless in Australia, or more specifically New South Wales. So I decided, as someone who's spent a fair amount of time being homeless and in and out of refuges, that I thought I'd do some tips and tricks for people. Makes it a bit easier. So, first and foremost, housing. Obviously, when you're homeless, more often than not, you're going to go through the whole process of going through housing, applying for housing, etc., and so forth. But as most Australians would know, housing tends to have quite a long waiting list. So, for the meantime, you have limited options. First and foremost is basically go through all of the kind of general services that are available. Vinnies, Salvos, Anglicare, they all help. And try to, if you're young, link up with youth services. If you're elderly, look into elderly services. I don't know too much about elderly services, but I'm sure there's some out there. Main one, service called Link to Home. The phone number, and I will say it now and I will say it again at the end of this video, is 1-800-152-152. They are the best option for linking you into at least temporary accommodation and linking you in with other services that could provide extra assistance. That's in regards to food hampers and vouchers, etc., etc. So, going into other actual proper tips and tricks, I suck at this. First and foremost, hygiene. Hygiene is a fun one when it comes to being homeless. Now, obviously, if you get put up in temporary accommodation, you're going to have access to a shower more often than not, which, great, awesome for that time. And usually, if you have that option, I always tend to go for the mini products because they're easy, it's easy to travel around with, so little mini ones like this are perfect. You can also get like little mini body washes, mini toothpastes, even collapsible toothbrushes these days, and collapsible hairbrushes. So, mini stuff is always a best option if you want to travel light. Because when you're homeless, it's hard to pack mule everything around. Another good thing to have on hand, mini packs of tissues. I always go for these ones because they're nicer on my nose. But it's good in the aspect of not having to lug around a big box of tissues around in your bag. Another good thing to have, now most people these days usually have some form of mini hand sanitizer in their bag. But if you're not keen on just using straight hand sanitizer, you can also get stuff like this, which is 2-in-1 hand and surface antibacterial wipes. Small, convenient, easy to take with you, and then you can use that both for cleaning your hands, and you can also use it to clean surfaces, like if you need to clean a surface for preparing food on, if you don't have access to a plate or something, or if you need to wipe over a toilet seat or something like that, if the public bathrooms are particularly grimy that day. Now, big number one, and most people would know this one, I think, baby wipes. Baby wipes are a massive part with homelessness. These things, you can use them for everything. You can use them to, if you don't have access to a shower and you're living on the streets, baby wipes. You can wipe your entire body over with them, and it's just convenient in all general ways, and they're usually pretty cheap. Like this pack, it's got like, 80 wipes in it, and this only cost me like $2. Shampoo and conditioner when you don't have access to a shower. Get dry shampoo. I'm sure that they have a guy's version out there. I think I've seen it on shelves in Woolies and Coles. This is just one of the ones that I've gotten. Conditioner wise, if you have particularly fine or dry hair like me, and you tend to get a fair amount of mats and knots in your hair, especially when you're sleeping on ground and stuff like that. I know it's a kid's one and it seems strange, but detangling spray is a lifesaver if you don't want to end up with a full rat's nest at the back of your head. And it's quite cheap. I'm pretty sure this one was only like $2.70, I think, was how much it cost. Now, for the girls, we all know what it's like to have a bit of a bad female day. And when you're homeless, it's a lot more of a struggle when you don't have access to standard facilities that you would normally have in a home. Femme Fresh. You can get bigger packs of these. This is a pocket pack of Femme Fresh wipes. Convenient. You can also get a can of Femme Fresh deodorizing spray as well, which is also helpful. Obviously, get a hold of deodorants and stuff, like have a can of deodorant in your bag or some sort of roll-on. So they're like probably the main ones with the hygiene stuff. Clothing. Keep things light. If you have some way that you can, store like a few outfits somewhere and keep a few outfits with you, that's good. But if not, try to just keep it minimum. Try to have one specific outfit for different seasons. So have a really warm outfit for when things get really cold. Have a light outfit for when it's, summer and it's stinking hot. And then have sort of like a middle ground sort of outfit. So that way, if you've got a sort of in-between weather sort of thing, it just makes it easier. And always make sure you keep on you a decent thick hoodie. So, going through all that, you're going to need access to options when it comes to cleaning your clothes. Now, obviously, there's only so much you can do, and having some form of hand soap that you can access comes in hand. If you can't afford to go to a laundromat, go and find like public bathroom or some place with clean water and just hand wash it, and then find a branch somewhere out in the bush or on a tree nearby somewhere and just hang that up. Or if you have a car, hang it up over the door or something like that. Fairly, easy sort of thing. Okay, where do we go next from here? Next what will be probably bedding. Bedding wise, if you're sleeping on the streets, if you're in city areas, my suggestion is just wear your clothes and find the safest areas you can. Whether it's a public bathroom at a train station that you can lock the door off. Obviously, if security comes around and decides to kick you out, just go with it, because the last thing you need is to start a fight. Obviously, cold nights, I would suggest wearing all of your clothes that you have. Try to layer up. And if you have extra clothes, try and get access to a pillowcase, and you can put your clothes in that and use it as a pillow. Or otherwise, a simpler way would be to, if you have a spare jumper or something, wrap extra clothes up in that and use that as a pillow. Another option, if you're not in city areas and you're out in more rural areas, tent. Straight up tent. Gives you decent shelter. Get a tarp that you can, just a small one that you can put over the top of your tent, so you've got a bit of extra water coverage in case there's rain. And obviously get a good sleeping bag. If you can afford it, if you're on some form of Centrelink payments, try and gain access to one of those really good ones that's like the temperature fluctuates in it, so it like adjusts depending on weather. But if you don't, my suggestion would be get a good sleeping bag, like one of those really warm ones, and then if it's hot weather, just sleep on top of it, and maybe get yourself a small throw or something to chuck over you if you really want a blanket during a warm night. Bag wise, I will always suggest backpacks. But if you're a person like me and you say have back problems, sometimes carrying everything on your back can get quite exhausting and quite painful. I per se have more stuck to the duffel bag option because it just works out better for me in the long run. Food. Now, if you have the tent option, get yourself one of those small little cooler bags and just try to stick to things that aren't heaps cold, unless it's something you're going to be using straight away. Only use the cooler bag for things that, it's not too bad if they, get a little bit warm, sort of thing. So like, for instance, butter, if you're using it for, a sandwich or something, or a pack of Up and Goes, or a pack of juice poppers, or something like that. And yeah, same with other foods as well. If you're going for, standard like cupboard sort of foods, simplest options with the tent option is get yourself a camp stove, stick to tinned foods like braised steak and onion, creamed corn, tinned spaghetti, baked beans, the usual sort of tin stuff, and just heat that up on the camp stove. And if you don't have that option, stick to things that you don't really need to cook. So if you want a piece of fruit, get a piece of fruit from the shop. Like, this is all going off of if you're receiving some sort of income, and I don't know whether it's a job or if you are receiving Centrelink or something, but so long as you've got some sort of income, you're going to be able to get through. Keep some sort of sandwich thing on you, a spread, because the moment you have some money to buy a cheap loaf of bread, you're going to go through sandwiches like nuts. Nutella, Vegemite, peanut butter, jam, whatever your poison is, have one on hand. In regards to the vouchers thing that you can sometimes get from services around, try to savor them as much as you can. And as I said before, keep things light if you're having to travel much. If you're in the cities, sometimes your best option, if you don't have any safer sort of enclosed areas to sleep, somewhere where you can't put up a tent or anything, my suggestion would be, and I know it gets sickening after a while, but cheap $2 burgers from like Macca's or Hungry Jack's or something. Back when I was 17 and I was homeless back then, I lived off Hungry Jack's because they were doing this deal at the time where if you bought one burger, they gave you a receipt that would have a code on it so you could go do a survey, and when you did the survey, you got a free burger, so free food. And yes, I did, bum it a little bit and maybe possibly pinch some receipts off other people so that way I could get a free burger. But it came in handy. And accept help when you can. Don't go running off with random people you meet. But if someone says, hey, can I buy you lunch? And you're just not too far from a charcoal chicken or something like that, accept the help. I know you can feel guilty about doing it. I felt guilty about accepting that kind of help in the past, but you need that help when you're in this kind of situation. Now, the biggest one for me to mention is mental health. Now, more often than not, Even if you haven't specifically suffered too much with mental health prior to becoming homeless, mental health is going to decline when you are homeless. Get in contact with services that provide counselling. You've got numbers all over the place, like numbers for Beyond Blue, numbers for Lifeline. You got 1-800-RESPECT for people who have gone through